Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to learn about aggregate functions in select query, or you can say in OpenSQL statement. So there are various types of aggregate function, for example count, sum, max for maximum, min for minimum, and avg for average. Now let's talk about the count first. So count is for used to return the number of rows for the selection, and then there is a sum for the total of the field, and then there is max for maximum value and min to fetch the minimum value of that particular field data, and then there is a avg for average. Now we will be discussing every aggregate function in detail in our practical demo. Now let's get started, and before we proceed, let's talk about what we learned in our last video. We talked about traditional way of fetching data in our internal table or work area. We also saw the ABAP 7.4 version of the same SQL statement. Like for example, here we are fetching in a work area without using any corresponding field syntax, and then we fetched some data in our internal table as well without using any into corresponding fields or table statement. So let me comment this code, and then we can start today's topic, aggregate function. So comment this as well. You can do like this, yeah, pretty much clear, and do the pretty printer and try to syntax check and activate. Now let's write some syntax for the aggregate function count. For example, in this demo, we will be using VBRP table for fetching some data. So let me quickly open SE16 and T code, and where we will be seeing some example. For example, let's execute it, and for example, let's pick some VBLN value, for example, 9005188 here. We will be checking all aggregate function on this VBLN. For example, the count star, if we use, so if you use the count thing, then we will be getting data like 4, as we have a 4 records here. So in the output, we should get the 4 as an output. And so let's quickly go to the editor and write some statements. For example, select VBELN count. So this is how you utilize the count star statement, in your web editor, F1 SQL statement. So you can refer an alias, and then you can mention a field value which you want to display in your internal table as zcount, and from table VBRP, and then into table the new syntax you can directly use it into table at the rate data, and then you need to pass, sorry, yeah, you need to pass your internal table here. For example, LTVBRP you can mention for an instance, and we will be using VBLN here as we discussed. So just copy this thing here. We'll be utilizing this. So you can pick your any value as per your database data. Give the value here, and let's try to activate it, whether we are able to do activate it or not. So do the syntax check first. So yeah, here we are getting some error. So what it is basically saying is saying the field VBLN from the select list is missing in the group by clause. So what it basically means is, like, whenever you use aggregate function in your SQL statements or in your open SQL statement queries, you cannot directly use it here simply. So you before you activate it or do again syntax check, what you need to do, you need to add here the group by statement. For example, group by this, and whatever fields is available here you need to pass here, which is without aggregate function. For example, VBLN is not being used anywhere using the aggregate function, so you should pass all the relevant fields here in this after the group by statement. So now if you do the syntax check, it will be good to go. And now you can do the pretty printer and do the do activated. And also we can do some size of RC check here. Example, if size of RC equals to 0 and if, and we can also print some data from the internal table to the pretty printer thing and make loop over it as we have learned in our previous videos. Loop at LTVBRP, and we will be using directly ABAP 7.4 feature here, so you can mention directly into data without declaring any variable in your top declaration thing. So ls VBRB, you can directly use it, and now we can print it using the write statement to see our output on the screen. Write ls underscore VBRP, and what fields you want to show, you can directly see from here, or you can see from here as well, VBLN, and again we can use it, for example, ls underscore VBRP. You put the control space and you can select your fields here as well. Do the pretty printer, do the syntax check, try to activate it. So here now we will be seeing the output of that count aggregate function. Put the breakpoint here at the size of RC check. We now execute it. Yeah, it's open. Now, if you see the size of RC is 0, that means it's successfully executed. You can click on your internal table here, double click on it, and now we will be checking some output here. You can double click on it. So yeah, we have fetched data for the VBLN 9005188, and the jet count value is 4, as we have only the 4 records for this particular record, or VBLN you can say. You can directly even pass it back from the selection screen here if you mention. Let's copy it again. Copy it and just paste it here so that we see only the relevant data. So yeah, we are able to see the relevant data as well. Pause in our where we have 4 records. So we are getting correct count in our output. If you see here, now do F5 again. Now we will be printing our internal table data on the screen. So do the F5. Here you will see we have value like this, and it will print. Now you can directly click on F5. You will be seeing the output on the screen. Yeah, pretty much clear. Now we will be discussing our next aggregate function, sum. So for sum, for showing or utilizing or showing you as a sum aggregate function, I will be utilizing some fields like you can pick this, for example, FK IMG here, or there are other fields as well you can pick from here. For example, FKLMG is also there, which basically means the bidding quantity in SKU. So we will be utilizing this field in our demo purpose. And for example, now let's put the comma here and try to fetch the sum using sum aggregate function. So here is the syntax: sum parenthesis open close, and you can pass the field value here like FKLMG as Z sum for example, and do the pretty printer thing, do the syntax check, try to activate it. Yeah, and similarly we can use print on the selection on the screen like this: VBRP control space jet sum we are test and activate it. Put the breakpoint here and execute it. So now the sum that we will be seeing on the internal table output should be something like FKLMG is there. So 7 plus 6 plus 5 plus 1, it will be equivalent to something 19. So let's see. So click on the double click on this LTVBRP. So yeah, here you are seeing 19 as your sum. So it is a sum of all the values that are present for this FKLMG field and for the corresponding VBLN filling document that we are seeing, right? So that is how you can utilize the sum aggregate function in your app report. Now do execute, and yeah, we are able to see the output as well. Now let's understand the max, min, and average feature here. For example, we will be using the same FKLMG field for this max, min, average aggregate functions. So we can directly use it. For same thing, open close parenthesis, FKLMG. We need to pass the field name here. So here we can pass Z FKLMG underscore max, as we need to pass alias here, so that is why we are using as here. We cannot directly utilize this, we will get some syntax error, so that is why we need to make some alias here. Similarly, we can use the min aggregate function, same as above, fklmg as fklmg underscore min, and then we have a avg, is for average. So we pass here fklmg as fklmg underscore avg. Now do the pretty printer thing and check the syntax, it's good. Do activate it and put the breakpoint here. So now what we will be getting in our internal table is basically the max, min, and average of this. So if we go to our database table, so if you see here for this FKLMG field, the maximum value but we should get in our internal table is 7 and minimum as 1. And the average of average field, we should get the average of this particular field, or the sum divided by 4. Let's see, execute it and go to the debugging mode. Yeah, here. So if you double click on this internal table and see your output here, so here you will see the maximum is 7 as we discussed, and the minimum value is 1, as you can see here. Minimum is 1 and the average is now 4.75, something close to 4.75, average of all the values that are present under FKLMG field. So this is how the aggregate function works. You can now execute it and check the output here. Oh, we didn't write and in the rights query, so that is why they are not able to come here. So we can write it here again. Example ls underscore vbrp and do the control space max, again do the control space min, again control space, you can select the average field as 2. So do activate it and check out. For now we can remove the breakpoint, so we directly see the output. Activated, click on execute. So yeah, here is how your count, your average, your max, min, and sum is working fine. So we talked about different types of aggregate function today, and I hope you like this video. Stay tuned for the upcoming videos. Thank you.